Start recording. Okay, cool. So Zoom Rooms up, it's optional. It's just if you would, it makes it easier for you to see. That is great. But you don't have to join it because I'm just going to talk through it real quick. All right, so today, the purpose of today that I have in mind is a little bit more self-directed from y'all as well, a little bit more activity-oriented. You'll get a chance to interview the people around you, your friends in this class, your other classmates, your friends you haven't made yet, all different opportunities to practice some interview skills where you will play both the role of the interviewer and the interviewee. So I'll talk about that more in just a second. But before we get into why we're focusing so much on interviews, I want to talk a little bit more about, what is the point? Because a lot of future ready, a lot of adulting, I'll be honest, not a lot, but enough of it. There's just things that you kind of have to do. It's something that we all are in agreement that is this the best system? Probably not, but this is the system that we're working with. And a lot of the times interviews at the level of just kind of getting your foot into a job kind of serve that purpose. You'll hear a lot of people say that no one wants to work anymore. That's not true. People want to work. People just want to get the money that they're earned or they're owed, I mean. So a lot of things are kind of shifting with traditional associations with interviews and stuff like that. So you might be finding yourself asking, what is the point? And the point of an interview is, it's just kind of one of those things, kind of like how we still use email as a primary form of communication and the rules that come with that. But there's also an aspect of interviewing that is a skill that you should just have or be aware of going into the adult world. And a lot of the process of interviewing is making yourself look good. The same way that you kind of talk yourself up on a resume or on a cover letter, employers know that you're talking yourself up because they talk themselves up when they got the job. Employees know that you're talking yourself up because it's just kind of one of those things we all do. Just for full transparency, I'm not against interviews. I just want you to be aware that there is an amount of you just kind of got to do it. So talking about it in the sense of getting good at it and making it easy, making it something that you can just approach formulaically, approach with a system. It makes your life a little bit easier and a little bit more successful in the interview direction. So this article is specifically from an employer's point of view, like an HR professionals type point of view. So if you're curious what employers are thinking when they're kind of going through interviews, you're welcome to read this. That is in the what's the point? But these three are the things that you want to be kind of thinking about to make yourself stand out in an interview. Now, I want to disclaim, I'm not saying straight up lie. Okay, we're all clear that I'm not telling you to lie in your interviews. What I am telling you is to be aware that the employer knows that the story may not be 100% accurate because that's just how the world happens, right? And so thinking about what to talk about, how you can improve your presentations will allow you to deliver a better, a speech in a sense, because an interview is kind of a speech about why you should be hired, right? Persuasive. But what you should talk about, this is an article from Forbes, as well as how you can improve your presentation from Indeed. These are both business titans doing plenty of interviews, doing plenty of job-related things that we're used to. And it's got these really useful lists about things that are going to be commonly said throughout a variety of interviews, but also important as to why these things should be said. So if we look at the show a track record of success, it's got this whole write-up about how you can use, you have a track record of successes. For you guys, remember that those successes are going to be high school related or your pre-existing job related. But these same things also apply to high-level interviews because most interviews are conducted in the same way, right? These are great tips talking about your future value, things that you can add to the program or things that you want to bring to the table or how you're planning on improving, show interest in the position. The reason I am putting a lot of disclaimer that it's just something that we have to do is not to be negative, but to let you know that a lot of the articles and the tips that I can give you and the tips that you will find are all going to sound very similar because it's shake your hand, say nice to meet you, right? When you Google how to be a better or how to do a better interview, you're going to get a lot of the same things over and over again. So what I found here is a variety of links and stuff that explain why things are going to be beneficial for you to do these. And they're going to be consistent amongst all the different types of interviews that you could find yourself in. Like 23 of the best things to say in your interview and why. So like, it's nice to meet you, obviously. And then it breaks down each of these steps as to say, what's going to make you stick out as your as an interviewer. Keep in mind the whole time that I'm talking and I'm showing you guys these resources is that what you're trying to do is explain why you are the best fit. So you're tailoring your answers and your specific examples to the job that you're applying for. Remember, all the way back to resumes, my photography experience doesn't influence my ability to be a barista, or my lifeguarding experience does not influence my ability to walk dogs, right? You're shifting the experiences, even though you have them all, you have to package them in a way that is most efficient to the person who's asking the questions. So just keep that in mind while I'm talking through and while you have the access to all of these links here. How you should act is just general guidelines about interviewing etiquette. It's like table manners. It's like email etiquette, right? Again, just kind of one of those things that we have to do. But if you've never had an interview before, it's hard to know what to expect. Again, a lot of these are pretty obvious. Be on time, thank the interviewer. But it is just kind of like general things to keep in mind, especially the tone of your voice, because you got to remember when you're communicating, you're saying way more than just your words. You're talking with your body, you're talking with the voice itself, you're talking with the level of enthusiasm, right? There's a lot of little things that people are picking up on in an interview. So it's important to be aware of these types of things. So you're welcome to read through these. There's lots of expanded details on each of them because what we're doing is preparing some interview questions. So what we did yesterday, it was yesterday for y'all, was we did the kind of the general entry-level positions, just kind of getting used to making our answers specific for a specific job. What I'm going to have you do today, after about you spend 30 or so minutes prepping some interview questions, we're going to do like group interviews. That's kind of what I have in mind. So the way this will work is just in your table groups. Again, this is something I haven't done before, so it could go poorly, it could go great. We're going to find out. Just kind of with your nearby neighbors, with your people who you're close to, literally or like friendship-wise. You're going to be an interviewer to them, and they're going to interview you, so you both get the opportunity to be an interviewer and an interviewee. So how's this going to work, though? What you'll do is you'll come up with a hypothetical job to interview for. This is the one that you want to have, and that will put you in the role of the interviewer for that job. So like, for example, let's say, Porter, you're closest to me, so you're my partner right now. I choose the hypothetical job of teacher. You choose the hypothetical job of whatever you'd be interested in. I would interview you for a teaching position, and you would interview me for your hypothetical job. Does that make sense? Everybody kind of clear on that process of what I'm looking for here? And so, in order for that, and I can clear it up too in more specifics if you need, no problem. This is something I haven't done before. Anyway, so what your job for both of you is to come up with 5 good interview questions. There's if we go back to the thread, I've linked in the open-ended section right here some really useful question stems. So these are ways that you can start a flow of questioning, or these are teaching related, critical thinking or whatever, but there's a whole list of some here that you want to think about including in your interview, because that's going to give your other person the opportunity to experience that tailoring to the job. And this is a little strange because we're going to be interviewing for positions, interviewing in quotes, for positions that we don't necessarily want. It's because it's the one that our partner is choosing. But that's going to give you the experience of kind of thinking on your feet, as well as the perspective for if you were in the opposite position, how the conversation could flow. Like, for example, to use Porter again as my closest example, since I'm interviewing Porter for a teaching position, I can get a feel of how that interview could go with some of these open-ended questions, and it will allow me to hear both sides of that conversation and get exposed to how it could go. Just opportunities to kind of get you guys introduced and familiar with the interview process so that it's not a surprise when it does actually happen. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. I hope I've explained it clearly enough. So that being said, you have a couple resources about interviewing in general, and then you also have a couple resources to prepare your questions, which is what we're going to do for about the next 30 or so minutes. The only thing that you post to the discussion board is the questions, not the answers. So everybody should post their 5 questions to this discussion board. Right now, it's only to your period. So it's only going to be related to what you guys are doing in class. So I'll quit yakking. The time is yours. Come up with 5 really good, really in-depth, really open-ended interview questions that you can ask of your nearby neighbors once we get to that point in the day. Sound good? Any questions, comments, concerns, qualms? Cool. All right, go ahead and get started.